Hello world, welcome to Champions Online Guides. Should be information for new players. I haven't been a new player for a very, very long time, so I kind of just put in a bunch of things that maybe you do or don't know. Things that could hopefully help you get through some of the game, stuff like that. Just whatever random things I could think of that might be useful if you didn't know them. As with every other free-to-play MMO, Champions Online has restrictions on how you can talk to people. You generally can't use Zone, you can't whisper people that are not on your friends list. Most people are not going to entertain random friend requests because it's weird, and they probably don't know that's the only way a new player can talk to people. Sort of. You can always use local though. So if you're in the powerhouse in Millennium City, where tons of people are, or in the Millennium City Renaissance Center, which is right outside the powerhouse, where you get warped to after you leave, then there should be people for you to talk to if you need to, or ask questions of and whatever. I think it's 10 or 20 hours. I don't know. Those limitations didn't exist when I started playing Champions Online, and they've changed at least once or twice. Every single character you get has a starter kit. I recommend not bothering to open it before the tutorial is over. Just leave it for Westside if you need it, but it has a 10 charge health potion thingy, which is good for the Talos and Kevin Poe fights. You should only need one per fight. You might not need anything for Talos fight because it's generally pretty simple. There's also a Heroic Might, which is a damage boost, and a resource boost, which just gives you extra resources for an hour. Those two I would save until level 40. You could just not open the starter kit at all until level 40 if you don't need the healing potion thingy. Orbs are useful. I noticed that people don't always pick them up during alerts and stuff, but they're basically just power-ups. They're nothing fancy, but the green ones especially can be lifesavers because they give you health. But the red ones are damage, the blue ones are energy, the yellow ones are defense buff, and the white ones are either random or not for you. Sometimes there's a white orb and you can't pick it up, but someone else can. It's weird like that. Oh, and there's some weird little glitch thing that sometimes when you walk over an orb, it actually puts an item in your inventory. That item is just useless crap. You can't do anything with it. I think you could sell it for 55 globals or locals or just locals. It's like something really pathetic and tiny. Or you could just drag it out of your inventory and destroy it because it's useless. Can't do anything with it. Gear in this game is kind of weird. They didn't go over gear very well with all the quests. But you do get a gearbox starting at level 10. And every 5 levels after that you get a new one that you can open it every 5 levels. The gear piece may or may not be useful. They do have some other crappy temp items, though. They have a timer on them. Make sure you pay attention to that. Some of them aren't terribly useful. I think at level 35, you get some questionite. But the gear can be useful, especially if you end up doing a lot of alerts and don't do very many quests. There's an overflow bag, which is a red thingy that shows up at the end of your bag bar. If you want to leave the new player guild, I'm pretty sure getting into guild is the G key, and then you go to the roster tab and you click the leave button. But there you go. You can leave the new player guild or any guild whenever you want to. I would recommend spending some time to make the UI look less crappy. I changed basically everything. I think the default key for it is like F12 or Alt F12. It's one of those two, something. I don't know, just push buttons and see what happens. That's my advice. And then you can also go to the main menu, which you can find by hitting escape or escape it several times, and then go to options, and then go to the HUD tab. And you can save and load the HUD, which will save the UI positions, and it will save the options under the HUD page. I think it also saves the options that are under the control tab. All of that crap will save, and then you can load it in every character, so you only have to change the UI once to make it look pretty. It doesn't save your key bindings though, which sucks, but oh well. And key bindings can have a lot to them, so I will cover that in another video. Don't buy bags from the auction house. Almost all the time when I look in the bag section, it's always the bags that you can buy from vendors. There is one bag that you can put on the auction house that is from the cash shop. I don't know if it's ever been there. I don't know if people even bother listing it or buying it. But if you want bags and you don't want to get the cash shop one, I would just recommend going to the collection officer who always has bags for sale. All the bags. The biggest bag you can get is 7 globals. So, you can get that bag by the time, you level up eventually. Don't buy them from the auction house because most of the time it's just someone trying to scam you. Healing potions. You can buy them from the collection officer. You can also buy them from the Untitled Potion vendor person in the Ren Center. There's a place where all the recognition vendors are. Second win healing devices can be found as rewards from some of the newer OMs, the open missions that have been revamped, and from events. You can also find the second wins on the auction house. There's another set of healing potion things from the War Zone, which can also be bought and sold on the auction house. I can't remember what they're called, like Rejuvenation something. Buying stars, I think, is a waste of time. I think they're also available in the cash shop, but you can buy them from Globals from the collection officer, and sometimes you get them from open mission and event rewards. I wouldn't waste my time on them. I mean, you lose stars for dying, but you gain stars for killing things, and it's not an awful buff. If you're wondering about the stars or on your portrait, there's like those stars. There's between 0 and 5 stars. You can hover over your portrait to see what kind of buff you're getting. It's 15% healing and damage bonus, I think. It's not amazing, but it's not worthless either. But most of the time, I don't even notice it, so it's probably not a big deal. I wouldn't waste your globals on it. You can pick up and throw shit, and what you can pick up depends on your strength stat. But you should be able to, even with 10 strength, pick up some lighter items. This is very useful for the Kevin Bow fight because there are a bunch of ads in that room, and you can pick up one of the boxes or a barrel or something outside, and as long as you don't go through the stupid doorway into the room, you could throw things and drag out the other enemies so that the fight is a little bit easier. Having a hideout is awesome. You get a shared bank storage, and you could buy more shared bank storage in the cash shop if it's not enough. But you can also store globals. I'm pretty sure you could store globals beyond the character cap, which is right now 500 globals. So if you don't have the thing that removes the cap for you, because you can buy that in the cash shop, you can store globals in a shared bank hideout, which is shared bank storage, which is in your hideout. And you can also store drifter salvage if you open lockboxes and you have some on different characters. You can just dump it all into your shared bank. The Penthouse Hideouts have a warp to Millennium City. You go out, upstairs, there's doors that go outside, and you fly off and fly away from your penthouse, and there should be eventually a little thing that says warp to Millennium City. Or you could find a permanent version of the Warp to Ren Center device on the auction house. There's usually one for sale. Make sure it is not the temporary version or a one-charge version. You can get those too, but if you want a permanent one, make sure it is the permanent version. It doesn't have to say charges or there's no timer on it or any of that crap. That actually goes for everything, because some items have temporary versions, so you should look at the tooltip description before you buy stuff, just so you're not getting a temporary version of anything. At level 10, you get a daily for grabs. If you do them at level 10, it could actually be a pretty horrible experience, especially if everyone else is low level as well. The scaling that alerts use is not very good, and at level 10, you don't really have a whole lot of powers going for you. You don't have all your super stats, so it could very well be kind of awful and take a long time. Or you could be in an alert with a level 40, and they could just blow through the whole alert, leaving a trail of death in their path. You don't have to try to keep up if that happens. Just kind of, walk along behind them, let them kill everything for you. You still get the experience and globals and items and shit. It's free experience. Take it for what it is. You can, of course, completely ignore the daily grab alert things and just do missions. And then when you get more super stats and more powerful, you can go into alerts. Whichever one you want to do. Quests. I don't know, there's not a whole lot to say about these. Sometimes you get stupid quests like the ones for the mods. You can drop them. I think the quest log is L by default. I don't know. Maybe it's K, that might be perks. Something like that. Push buttons, figure it out. There's some quests that you can't drop. I think the first quest you get when you go into the powerhouse, that you have to look through all those stupid videos, I don't think you can drop that one, and it does hold your first set of gear hostage. You can, of course, click the thing to look at the movie and then just hit the escape if you really don't want to watch it. You can watch the movies at any time, so you don't have to watch them right away. You also, I think you get the Onslaught Quest as soon as you hit level 10. I would just turn it in and then ignore it and not do anything else, because Onslaught's not exactly very popular anymore. So turn it in. Maybe you get some free experience. I don't know. The guys that you get it from is right there in Westside. There, you can also turn it in at the Ren Center where all of the other vendors are for recognition. You never need to learn how to fuse mods if you don't really feel like it. It's kind of a boring system, but you could find even rank 5 mods on the auction house, and they're usually pretty cheap. So if you never ever want to rank mods, you don't have to. I mean, Constitution mods might be the only exception. I think they're a lot cheaper than they used to be. So those are probably going to be the most expensive mods. Rank 5 and below mods are not worth wasting anything on to unslot them. If you have a decent piece of gear and you have a rank 5 or below mods, you could just put a new mod right on top of it and just fuse over. You lose the old mod, but it's probably not worth anything anyway, because you could probably have just gotten a replacement on the auction house really cheap, or from burst alerts, they drop mods. You find mods by killing things, so, Socrates, the minimap has all kinds of little icons. Most of the stuff on the minimap is actually something that has a hotkey attached to it, so like the social menu is or you could just, click on the stuff on the minimap if you don't remember how to get to all these stupid menus. There's also a little gear icon that lets you change some things on the minimap, like I have none of the stupid minimap icons showing up unless I hover over the map. You can use the Socrates icon to exit alerts and instances, like if you're in an alert, you can use the Socrates thing, if you're not in combat, to leave the instance. If you're in combat, the option doesn't show up. You can also pick up your dailies and stuff. It's under the alerts coordinator, so you search for emergencies, you go to alerts coordinator, so you don't even have to be in Run Center. You just pick them up from wherever you are. So if you're out, you want to do questing, and you're still leveling, and you want to do some grab alerts while you're doing missions, you could do that. The only downside is if you're doing a mission in an instance, you'll come back out of the instance and probably have to start whatever achievements or things you have to do in the instance over again, which is annoying. You can change instances. Many maps only have one instance, but some places like Millennium City, you can click on the mini-map. There'll be a button when you hover over it, the part where it says like you're in Millennium City number whatever or something. You can click on that and it'll list all the instances that are not full. Vehicles can be useful for leveling. Sometimes Cryptic has a promo, like during their anniversary of the game, they can give out a free vehicle. It's not exactly an amazing free vehicle. And event vehicles, you could sometimes get those. They're usually cost currency of the event, and they're kind of pricey. It's like they're usually 650 of whatever event currency is going on. But the free and event vehicles tend to be character bound and bind on pickup. But they're free, so, one you have to farm for out the nose, which kind of sucks. Most other vehicles are account bound and they are bind on equip, which also means you could buy them in the auction house. If you do buy a vehicle from the auction house, be careful to look at the tooltip, because some people strip vehicles and sell them, and they may be really cheap, but if they have no weapons, it's not exactly terribly useful for you. So if you do have your first vehicle and you want weapons and you're buying one from the auction house, make sure it's not stripped. Some of the open missions can be nice for leveling, maybe not with your first character, because I don't know how well they can be soloed with a character of the appropriate level, but in the desert, if you go to Snake Gulch, there is the Askies open mission thing. The rewards not necessarily all that great, but the experience you get is pretty nice. And you can get a bunch of Untitled tokens for later. You can buy healing pots and stuff with them, and at level 40 you can get gear. If you're getting your first set of gear, you can blow Untitled tokens and the random gamble box for gear. Sometimes you get something good, sometimes not so much. The other one is in Canada, the Reign of Frogs open mission. That one has been recently redone. Again, the rewards not exactly amazing. The good rewards are super stingy for both of them, because I've only gotten something from the frog mission once that was decent, like one of the costume pieces. And I've never gotten anything else. I have a stack of the stupid mods that you get though. At level 25, you can create your own nemesis. You get like a little thing in your in-game mailbox. The dude is like way at the top of the map behind the museum with a big nemesis sign thing, terminal. There's a terminal in the Ren Center, but you can't use it until after you make your first nemesis. But after that, for like subsequent nemesis, if you put one in jail, then you can use it to do whatever you need to do. You can, of course, just completely ignore your nemesis stuff until level 40, because at level 40 you get more tokens. The first thing that's really good for nemesis missions that you can get is account-bound leveling gear. So for any alts you have, you could just get this really nice leveling gear. You never have to worry about trying to get gear for your character again until level 40, which is kind of awesome. I have 2 sets of it. Then you can get action figures, and there's absolutely nothing else worth wasting your nemesis tokens on. I would get every single freaking action figure in the nemesis store before I ever spent any money on the stupid 500 nemesis token box of mods, because you could get rank 3 mods, which are completely crap. I mean, rank 5 mods are so plentiful, there's no reason to ever waste your nemesis currency on that, unless there's literally nothing else. Like, you have every single action figure, and you have like at least 1 set of leveling gear. Don't ever waste your tokens on that. It's dumb. So for your first character, or maybe you just are really lazy with gearing up your alts, you can get... what I do for most of my characters is like, I budget 50 globals because I'm like super cheap when I gear up most of my alts. But you could check on the auction house for cheap ass gear, but all of those stupid Untitled tokens that you may not have spent at all, Buy gear boxes. At least buy one of each of the gear boxes once you hit level 40, just to see if you get something decent, or at least something better than your leveling gear. Leveling gear is okay, it's not very good for level 40. Secondary gear is not that bad to get. You can get the silver champion recognition to get pretty decent secondary gear from that vendor, from the champion recognition vendor. He sells gold and silver champion gear, but the silver champion secondaries are pretty decent gear. Sure, they're not the best gear ever, but I still have some of those for my main character because I'm too lazy to upgrade because I don't care enough. So that's an easy way. They're only 15 silver champion recognition each, which isn't too hard to get. The primary, secondary, or silver champion recognition gear can be a pain in the ass to get. If you find some cheap-ass merc gear on the auction house, you can get it then.